तो हेलो गाइस, कैसे आप सभी लोग। वेलकम बैक एक और अपनी चू चार्ली वीडियो में आपका स्वागत है गाइस, अपनी लाइव स्ट्रीम में। तो आज हम दोबारा से चू चार्ली खेलने जा रहे हैं गाइस। कौन से क्लासिक मोड के लिए हम क्या खेलते हैं।
I know it's been a while since we last spoke.
इसको बैक करते हैं अपना जो कंटिन्यू यार। अपना जो यार था, आपने सब कुछ कलेक्ट किया था वो यार गलती से मैंने न्यू गेम पे क्लिक कर दिया तो पूरा रीस्टार्ट हो गया यार। तो हम दोबारा से मिशन करने पड़ेंगे यार। तो गाइस रात फिर से सब कुछ इकट्ठा करेंगे गाइस।
I know it's been a while since we last spoke, but something has happened at the mines I've been supervising.
कंटिन्यू पे करना था।
No, trust me, you'll want to make time for this. You're looking for something big to keep your museum in business? Well, there's... Yes, sir. They call him Charles. Half trained, half the biggest spider from hell. We've been planning his demise for some time now and have nearly everything in order. Just a few people to meet and places to see. Simple errands, you know. Yes, sir. Welcome to Aranerum, the island where miners dig their own graves. Stay close. Charles isn't the only thing to fear around here. There's a trick if we can stay.
पीछे तुम्हारे तेजी तुम्हें
Not to worry. There's a safe to see.
की लेकर जाना है इसको, मुझे पता है। पर चाबी मिलती है
Good on you! Looks like you found it. Open up that door and lead the way. Well, the exterior that good. We can. Are you ready to... Yeah, baby! We're coming for you, Charles! Do you hear that? It's him! It's him! Get the gun! Light him up! Light him up! Don't let the gun overheat! It's not taking enough damage! Get some headshots! This isn't how things were supposed to end. I thought we could still fight like the old days. Yes, sir. Easy in, easy out. You'll need to do more than I thought, but I don't have time to explain. Find the eggs. Find my son.
Eugene told her here's the key. And as a side note, anyone, check out the back. Good luck with everything.
Look, kid. I got some here.
monster hunt. This is we believe disperse our unfortunate. There's an egg, and here's the.
Nearly cooked. I would if enough. I just.
I know it's been a while since we last spoke, but something has happened at the mines I've been supervising. No, trust me, you'll want to make time for this. You're looking for something big to keep your museum? Yes, sir. They call him Charles. Half-trained, half-giga spider from hell. We've been planning his demise for some time now, and have nearly everything in order. Just a few people to meet and places to see. Simple errands, you know. Yes, sir. Welcome to Aranerum, the island where miners dig their own graves. Stay close. Charles isn't the only thing to fear. There's a train, one of the trains. If we can get to it, stick. Not to worry. There's a take this man. See if good on you! Looks like you found it. Open up that door and lead the way. Well, that gun you weakened. Are you ready? Yeah, baby! We're coming for you, Charles! Do you hear that? It's him! It's him! Get to run! Light him up! Light him up! This isn't how things were supposed to end. I thought we could still fight like the old days. Yes, sir. Easy in, easy out. You'll need to do more than I thought. I don't have time to explain. Find the eggs. Find my son.
Eugene told us we'd have there's some scrap. Here's the key. As a side note, anyone, check out the back. Good luck with that.
Look, kid. One of Warren's got some luck here.
The monster hunter. This is no... We believe there may be a way to get Charles to commit to a mortal battle, however. Disperse... Unfortunately, there's an A. Here's the key.
Using the water here. I don't...
horror game Choo Charles is not scary. When I made it last year, I wanted it to be approachable so that anybody could have fun. Charles the Spider. Charles the Spider. But that did not stop a lot of you guys from asking me to make it more intense and challenging. With things like a darker atmosphere, maybe a stronger atmosphere, maybe a stronger, more aggressive losing all your resources when you die, or maybe even permadeath. Everybody likes permadeath. Everybody likes permadeath, right? Today we are making Choo Charles, the hardest, scariest version of the game ever. So first of all, I gotta figure out if there's this thing in game development that I'm gonna call the law of exponential scale, and the law of exponential scaling states that the more features you add to a game, the more exponentially difficult those features mechanics. It's really simple. It's really easy. You can do it. It's really easy. You can do it in like, but when you're adding your 10th, but when you're adding your 30th, 20th, or 30th weeks, it can take months, because every single feature that you added in unison with each other. Basically, building a video game is like building a house of cards. And I'm about to try to just kind of take out one of those cards, just real casual, and hope that nothing bad happens. So since my plan for nightmare mode is to make it much scarier, like a darker atmosphere, with sound effects and an increased difficulty level. The first thing that I'm going to try and do is adjust the lighting, the fog, things like that. Making cosmetic adjustments that don't really affect the code of the game. Simplest first step. Later on, once I get into code stuff and adjust Charles and his behavior, that's when things are gonna get fun. I don't mean that literally. That's highly sarcastic. Cosmetics. Okay, so first thing, cosmetics. What I did is I hopped into intro cutscene for the game. Where we meet our good friend Eugene. And I made that night scene take place in nighttime. I added some crow sound effects. I added sound effects. I added some nighttime because it's nighttime. Comes out usually. It's summer that or other seasons that or other. I don't look at the sky. I don't look at the sky very often. Forgive me. And looking at this, honestly, it went really smoothly. This is looking pretty good. This is looking pretty good. And I think this plan to make this nightmare mode thing actually. What do you think, Eugene? What do you think, Eugene? Are you more scared yet? Are you shaking in your boots? Are you shivering in your timbers? But it did get me wondering. But since I'm out here trying to make the game all scary and stuff, what Eugene and Charles look like if they were to be made even cuter. Well, that would imply that they're already cute. Well, Eugene. And Charles for that matter. And Charles. Guys, what I'm getting at is we got this Eugene plush. Look at this dude. You can look at him. Peel his shirt up and see his shirt up. It's incredible. It's level of detail. You can even pull down his detail. The derail on and off. Look at this. You've never seen anything like this. You've never seen anything like this in your life. He's not taking it, gentlemen. Take out your and wallet by me, alright? Alright, or I shoot the kid! Oh no! I am a grown-up. So we got the Eugene plushie. We've also got these vinyls, which unfortunately I don't have my sample right now. But I'll throw some pictures on screen. They're looking incredible. And these are only available for after that. They're not coming back. So get them while you can. Link in the description. And back to the cutscene. It's coming together, and it's giving me the confidence. I can actually try to start making a bit scary. I mentioned the whole house of cards. I thought things were going well. I was able to copy paste a lot of the new settings from the cutscene changes and put those into the main game. And things were starting to look pretty good. Darker, spooky, but things immediately just started. First problem. The game was too dark. I couldn't even see what I was trying to add a flashlight. So now there's a flashlight that kind of follows you around. But then there's a bunch of these random lanterns. Right. And now they're I gotta make adjustments. So that those get less bright. And I mean those ultimate fixes, if I'm being honest. Sadly, and kind of as I expected, the first of many way too difficult bugs
bugs.
And this
appearing.
one was.
with the
So
lightning
normally
system.
in classic
So
Choo
normally
Charles,
in
the
skies
generally
generally
brighter,
so
generally
the
brighter,
lightning is
and then when the lightning
stops,
and then when the
it
lightning
goes back to the
stops,
generally
it goes
brighter,
back to the generally
classic
brighter,
It's
classic
him!
mode sky.
Get to the guns!
That makes sense. But in nightmare mode, it's supposed to be sky. It's supposed to be dark. I still have all the classic lightning. So, in nightmare mode, and the sky gets insanely bright, and then it stays. So what I would do is I would set sky brightness in nightmare mode, and then when the lightning strikes, it would get a little brighter. It would get a little brighter, and then it would set either the nightmare mode brightness, or the classic mode brightness, or the classic mode brightness,
but it would never set the brightness to as dark as it was supposed to be. It was using the correct variables, but it just wasn't getting dark. After hours of testing and adjusting and adjusting, I couldn't find. I made anything. Zero progress. We not only need to fix this lightning system, as well as finish all the rest of the atmosphere. We also need to finish all of Charles' behavior, add in new music and all this other stuff. Having an issue of this scale this early on is not a good sign. After more testing and adjusting and working on adjusting and working on it, the only fix that I could find was to turn the brightness to of what it should have been. For some reason, I'm just gonna go on to the next. I'm just gonna go on to the next. So with that issue fixed, I was immediately greeted by even more confusing issue. I love my job.
Here's what I'm doing. In classic mode, when you start the boss fight, all of the atmosphere settings are more fog, the lighting color changes, changes, intensity changes, the whole boss fight more intense and more cinematic, but naturally this messes up a lot of the stuff. Because now we've got two sets of settings, and the game doesn't really know what to pick. All these weird issues would just be like 100 would just be like 100, and you just can't even see like 5 feet in front of you. I end up having to add a bunch of different variables, all of the different cutscenes, all of the adjusting all the different atmosphere and lighting variables and everything, variables and everything, and then make it so the game plays alternate cutscenes if you're in nightmare mode, or if you're in nightmare mode, cutscenes if you're in. And so with those changes, I had officially completed the easy part, and now we move on to the hard part. We have not even touched Charles' behavior. So I gotta decide what I'm gonna do to make the game more difficult. I'm thinking we make Charles way faster. Chase higher speed levels, make it so that he shows up. Maybe we'll limit the player's lives to like only respawn 3 times, and then they reset 3 times higher saves. And on top of that, I'm going to delete all of your scraps if you die. Nightmare mode, baby. That'll be crazy, baby. Right. That'll be crazy. That's what I was thinking. I got to work. That's what I was thinking. I got to work, and I'm gonna be honest. It was easier than I was expecting. I was like, this is a breeze. Bro, everything was working really well. Everything was working really well. I tested it out, and I was like, this is nightmare. Perfect. I did it. So I sent it off to a friend to have him test it. Difficulty was and all of that. Seemed hard enough. And remember, this is nightmare mode. Really hard. Like my goal is for 99% of people to rage quit on this, because I'm just kind of mean like that. And so an hour later, he messages me and he's like, and I'm thinking, he rage quit already. And so I ask him, how far did you get before you died? It's way too easy. It's way too easy. So I made it 10 times hard. I made it so Charles 3 times as often, 3 times as much damage to you, 3 times as much damage to you, and you're faster, Charles. And I debuffed the flamethrower. So I sent over another build, and I'm like, try beating this. Yeah.
I see how it is. So I very collectively
made Charles do twice as much damage, and gave the player only one life. Just one. No respawns, no respawns. you die once. So after making all of those edits,
after making all of those
final change list for nightmare mode is the player has one life. The player has twice as much health. Has twice as much health. Drop scraps when you fight him. Drop scraps appears in hunting mode. Nearly 3 times as off. Nearly 3 times as off. 3 times as much damage. 3 times as much damage. Charles is twice as much damage. Twice as much damage. 30% faster. The flamethrower is faster. The flamethrower Charles down as much. Charles down as much. And that's it. With the difficulty now in a state where people rage quit. There's just a couple more things that are really important that need to get done. Things like adding the new soundtrack, things like adding the new soundtrack, and new mode selections, and a new mode selection screen. Before I actually finish up Nightmare Mode, I gotta bring you some long-deserved news on the Choo on the Choo Charles. For this whole year, I've been working with game ported onto PlayStation 4 and 5, PlayStation 4 and 5, and Xbox One Series, and Xbox One, Nintendo Switch. As well as I'm very happy to say that it is finally done. We're still in the process of getting the game certified on all the different platforms. There's still a couple of other bugs to iron out. Really close, and at this point, we're pretty confident in saying that the game will be released on all the consoles. As soon as I have a concrete date, as soon as I have a concrete date, I'll let you guys know with another video. But I just wanted to give you a quick progress update to let you know that it's coming out. So to finish up Nightmare Mode, I hit up Composer 2 ever exists. He did the soundtrack for the original Charles, the original Choo Charles. And this dude made a full 7 tracks. 5 days. So I got those added into the game, added the new game mode selection screen, got it all translated. Nightmare Mode. Eugene is so happy about that. He's so happy about that. Thrilled. If you already have Choo Charles, this update is completely free. And if you don't have Choo Charles, it's actually 50% off right now, specifically for Halloween discount that I've ever done. Literally just that I've ever done. I don't plan on doing another discount. So this is the perfect time to pick it up. This is the perfect time to pick it up. Subscribe, bye. That's it. Subscribe, bye. Eugene.
Can you save Eugene Choo Charles? The old goat who accompanies us as we start our grand adventure into the world of Choo Charles. Unfortunately meets an untimely end. But what if this wasn't the case? Can we actually save Eugene? Well, it was this very question that started one of my most absurd playthroughs of this game. And I made it my mission this dude alive. I hope you enjoy. So not long after starting the game, Eugene is talking to us on the phone. And then we meet up with him as he rows us out to the first island Aranira. Eugene, who is actually the fastest man in the world, runs up to the shack with us, tells us to grab a key, and then personally shows us the goods, being our own weaponized train. And Eugene is super excited as we break out the train shed and start our hunt for Charles. However, despite his guidance fighting against Charles, he unfortunately meets his end as he perishes on the train track. At this point in gameplay, I thought I immediately did something wrong. Like, could I have saved him if I was more accurate with my headshot? And that thought stayed with me throughout the game. But in my second playthrough, I vowed it would be different. And I would do anything in my power to ensure this dude survives. And on this channel, I like dissecting and breaking games. So you can probably guess how this goes. So starting off, as we make our way up to this train station shed, the surrounding area around us is actually closed off. And I bring this up because if I'm going to survive against Charles and save Eugene, I'm going to need resources that are not available in this starting area. However, this area is basically a tutorial. And so there are invisible walls around this area that prevent you from actually going past it. So I was trying to figure out how to get around this. And unfortunately, I don't think it's possible because I was trying to die. So basically, I jumped to my death and I respawned back by the train station. Now, simply playing this section over and getting enough headshots on Eugene as riding away on the train does not work. Eugene will die, and there's nothing you can do. So my first thought was, I need the flamethrower. I need to go grab this weapon that is called the bug spray. Now, to do this, we're going to sequence break, and we're going to no-clip this invisible barrier, and then run across the countryside without our train to the burning shack. And by turning on the water here, we can extinguish this shack and get ourselves the weapon, the flamethrower. This weapon is honestly really good because it prevents Charles from getting near the train. And if Charles can't touch the train, then Charles cannot hurt Eugene. However, to ensure that Eugene survived, I actually went ahead and upgraded my train to max status. Or basically near the max status. I think my speed was the only thing that wasn't upgraded. So when I go back inside the Eugene sees this train. It is totally decked out. It has all the upgrades. It is a killing machine for Charles. But I kind of overlooked something because when breaking up the train shack and hunting down Charles again, Eugene by my side. Well, the train was actually too fast. At speed 9, Charles can actually reach the train. But Charles was also too far from our train. So my flamethrower cannot damage him. I didn't have any other weapons on me, so I just swapped the machine gun. But it wasn't doing enough damage fast enough. My original goal was to forever stall Charles behind us so that they would eventually die. But something unexpected happened. My train actually looped around the map and went back into the train station again. However, the back door for the train station does not open until Eugene dies. When Eugene dies, this door opens, and we also gain access to throwing the train in reverse. So the train went through this door, but I didn't. So it forced me out of the train, and Charles was just tearing through me. So I panicked and I noped through the wall. And I could see Charles just rubbing up against it. But it was only a matter of time before Charles was going to figure out his way in. So I fired up the train again and we left the train station. But Charles was against the back wall. So I truly lost it. That's when I realized that this Charles is actually different than the one we encountered throughout the rest of the game. Because this Charles would never stop chasing me until Eugene died. And actually, this Charles also has rubber band physics applied to their running speed. So they could always catch up with me despite the distance. They came barreling over the countryside so fast that I had no idea where they came from. So I eventually came back to the train station again. But Charles was smarter this time. He went around to the front of the station, and I freaked out when he came inside. So I tried no clipping to the back wall. But when I have no clip active, the game does not detect the player's at. So it unloads the objects right here to save memory because it no longer detects the player nearby. And it was through this mistake, this moment in panic, that Eugene once again died. And I realized this was going to be way more difficult than I thought. So I mourned the loss of my friend. I started rethinking my strategy. So I actually went back in time to a previous save, and that lowered my train speed to 4. And this made it so that Charles was always right behind me, but within distance, so I could burn them with the flamethrower. So the Charles in the main game normally would run away after about a quarter of his health was gone. But this Charles has different programming. He will continue to take punishment, even though at train speed he can never reach me. So I was surprised that he didn't run away. But as I got him closer to death, I understood why. But this Charles was invincible. Depleting his health bar completely did nothing. And this only added difficulty to my mission. Because the only way to save Eugene and escape Charles was to not use my train. Or at least at this moment, that's what I was thinking. But then I was thinking, well, what if I use the Charles safe spot? Because I remembered in my playthrough that Choo Charles would not run on the bridge on the north side of the island. And that's because this bridge was the ultimate trap for Charles. So the game keeps him off the bridge, so it can't be blown up early. And I remember this because I trained on this bridge, and Charles could not get me. But in order to accomplish this, I was going to have to switch over the train by hand before Charles started chasing us. So I ran around the map and did this, and boosted the train to a higher speed again. And Eugene made to the bridge with me. And here they could be safe. It worked. Charles could not get Eugene and kill him. But Choo Charles would not leave me alone. I was trying to start the quest for the explosives, and he was just like fusing with the building, trying to get me. And of course, the NPC would not talk to me because they were terrified. Because Charles was right there. So I had to creatively think of a way to banish Charles. And my solution was to utilize the dynamic loading and unloading of environments. So as long as the player cannot be detected, certain interiors would not load. And so when we go to the northern mine that's right near here, well, the mine entrance is a void. The interior of the mine does not load because the player is not detected. And so we can use this as an edge case to banish Choo Charles. And I only thought of this because nearby that tall bridge, I witnessed Choo Charles jump down from the top to the bottom. And it's kind of accidental. The model slipped off the terrain, and it was not supposed to happen. So knowing this could occur, I made Charles rush at me at the entrance of the mine, and he fell way down to the great beyond. But even this banishment, even this total exile, only gives you about 15 minutes of time. Because after a certain amount of time, Choo Charles made his way back from the void, and was back in the map hunting me down. So at this point, I realized in order to save Eugene, I was going to do everything in the game on foot before Charles was added to the map at all. That means before the train ever left that first train station, I need to finish all the story quests on the map to get to the final fight. So while Eugene waited for me, I ran across the countryside and planted bombs on the bridge. And I went to each of the three mines and grabbed the eggs. For some reason, the game wasn't auto-saving for me. So dying at all meant that I had to do everything over. I think this is because of the sequence breaking, but also because I was messing with the game itself, modifications like the no clip. So now I have all the things I need. And I started the train up, and I got Eugene to a safe spot. Or at least I thought. Because I ran into a new issue on the ride over. So when I was about 80% to that destination, the train would just shut off. And this would cause us to die. I'm not sure what happens, but for some reason the train just stops moving. And at this point, Eugene would actually be cloned. So he would be beside me like he always is. But if I went and looked inside, you'd see that Eugene was stuck inside as well. There was a second copy of him, and he was frozen and running in place. It was very strange. But eventually, I anticipated where the train stopped, and I was able to throw it back into motion, and we got to the safe spot. And as you can see, here at the safe spot, we can take a closer look inside Eugene, and it's kind of terrifying. His clone is just frozen in place. Now, from this point, getting to the final fight would be very difficult without cheating of some kind. So for this section, I just flew over the map with no clip, so that Choo Charles would not kill me. But here we are. We're now at the final fight of the game. Eugene is technically still alive. So we trigger the cutscene, and we run on down. And I was very happy that Eugene was still with me. And so was his clone. But man, I had no idea how hard this final fight was going to be. I wanted to do this final fight legitly. But Eugene just kept dying over again. Eugene only gets 3 hits from this version of Charles before he dies. And 90% of the time when you start the final fight, Charles hits the train before he can move. So you only have 2 hits left. The problem is that Charles teleports randomly. And sometimes he can spawn near the train, ensuring there's nothing you can do to prevent him from hitting you. I started off hoping I could play it completely safe the flamethrower, but that wasn't going to work. It took too long to damage Charles. And time was my greatest enemy due to Charles teleporting to randomized locations. So I opted for the flamethrower to rocket launcher combo, as I did eventually go back for the boomer. Fun fact, I was actually the one who submitted the rocket launcher name as Boomer for this game. And 2-Star Games actually used the suggestion. Anyways, slowing down Charles with the bug spray flamethrower was necessary. And while he's being burned, using the boomer will let me deal massive damage. It's very important that you try to get Charles burning before he starts glowing to teleport. That way he burns through the teleport, and he can't move once he warps. This keeps him from hitting you in certain situations. But man, this was brutal. It took me over 2 hours of attempts to even come close to being this fight without Eugene dying. Sometimes losing with just a sliver of health on Charles. And then something really weird happened. This was not my doing at all. But one time, Charles loaded in with his torso up in the air and his legs down below. I freaked out when it happened. But my only hunch is that since Charles randomly spawns after the cutscene, that he spawned inside an existing object. His legs went beside the object, and his torso went up top. But I took this as a sign. This would be the run. And honestly, this run was frustrating. Because in order to shoot Charles accurately, I'd have to hit his spider legs with the boomer. But because of this glitchy Charles setup, Charles had trouble navigating. And this prevented me from taking damage in some situations. But this was it. This was the run. I put Charles down finally. Eugene had survived. And during the final cutscene, you can see him riding alongside me. Choo Charles was blown into the air. By defying the train gods and twisting the game, I changed history. Eugene will live on. And I felt proud of this accomplishment. But thanks for coming to my TED Talk about saving a boomer from a demonic spider train. And I'll see all of you in the next video. Cheers. What Choo Charles hides off camera from the player. Choo Charles is an open world nightmare simulator where a spider train is lurking in the dark. But the world around you might not be all that it seems. In today's video, we're taking a look at the hidden side of Choo Charles. From secrets out of bounds and behind locked doors. To showing off monsters you can't normally see. I love breaking games and showing off unseen things. So be sure to subscribe if this is your type of thing. As always, I like to do a quick recap of the flow of events that take place in the game I'll be covering. So once we leave the title screen, we see a daytime scene where Eugene, the man on the phone, is talking to us. We eventually rode to the island of Aranira, where Olympic sprinter guides us to our own personal train. We test out the weapon on board, and then depart on our hunt for Charles. However, things don't go as planned. Choo Charles ambushes us, killing Eugene. At this point, we're on our own as we navigate this massive world. Our goal is to finish 4 primary quests. We need to upgrade our train as we navigate three different mines. To retrieve special eggs from within. We also need to plant explosives on the bridge on the north side of the island. Once this is done, we can summon Charles to the final showdown. This battle is fierce. With careful weapon swapping and planning, the player can finally defeat this train monster. Okay, so we have quite a lot to cover in this open world game. So starting off, we're going to turn back the clock and go to the title screen. So this title screen normally shows you a fixed shot of the train. And as you select continue or quit the train begins to move. However, what we see here is actually a map itself, so we can explore. So if we look inside the train, it always has the giant double-barrel gun inside. Now this train on the title screen will dynamically update with the appearance of your train in the game. However, regardless if you have the giant's weapon or not, it will show up inside this train. So if we zoom out, we can see how big this map is and what it looks like from far away. It's this big square that's textured with grass. And there are these animated plants that blow in the wind that are all around this map. But as we get near the edges of that square, we can see that the texture itself becomes stretched. And the smearing effect causes the grass to be stretched out into these long stripes. But while we're out here, why don't we take a look at the moon? So up above us in the sky is the moon. If we fly up to it, we'll see that the moon is very far away. But it's also very big. The moon itself is a transparent. And if we go behind it, we can see just how far away we are from the map. Look at that tiny area down there. We are so far away. But now it's actually advanced to the next, which is the opening cutscene when we start the game. So the opening cutscene has Eugene talking to us on the phone. And it takes place in the daytime on this dock. Now the camera swoops in near the building to the table, so we can see Choo Charles. And then once the conversation is done, we leave this map. If we take a look at this map, it has plenty of secrets. For one, we see this man that's walking by the dock. But the second this man is off camera, they actually stop moving. They continue to walk, but they walk in place, and they don't move anymore. Of course, this is something the player never sees. But if we move around this island, we can see there's actually a lot to it. There's a forest behind this building, and it kind of goes on for quite a bit. The building itself is kind of strange because it's actually not a building. It's basically a Hollywood set. So only the front of the building is there. Now, because the player never walks around this map, there is no point in having anything else. You might as well save system resources and have half a building. But before moving on, here's a shot of Eugene up close on the phone. And from this point forward, we are now moved over to the cursed island. So we travel to the island by boat. And once we get there, we are supposed to go inside this train station. But unknown to some players is that this entire area that we're in is locked behind invisible walls. So if the player tried to leave this area before getting the train, they can't actually do that. There are invisible walls surrounding you. You cannot get past them. Well, under normal circumstances. But as we proceed forward, Choo Charles will actually appear on the map and then attack Eugene. But something interesting is that a good amount of this event is scripted. So Charles will hunt you down. But the second Eugene dies, Charles will run away. And so I want to follow Charles at this point. Now Charles is too fast, and the player would never keep up. However, if we take the camera, we can follow Charles over the countryside. And it turns out that he runs away over some hills, and then he unloads. But him unloading actually leads us to our next discovery. Underground, at the center of this map, is a giant rectangle. For the longest time while playing, I actually did not know what this was for. And the reason for this is because every time I went to check it out, it was empty. But it turns out this container is actually for Charles. So at the start of the game, if we take a peek inside this container, we'll see Charles within. And this is where they're stored when they're not on the map. Now the situation is not because they're constantly roaming the open world. But at certain times, like the beginning of the game, they're within. And I imagine the reason why he's in a solid container is so that he does not see the player through the ground. Let's move on to something equally terrifying. So this world has many monsters besides Charles. For one, there is a lake monster. Lisbeth Murkwater is this witch that sends us on a fetch quest over to an island to basically get meat from a body. We have to swim across a lake to get there. And within this murky water is the swamp monster. Now, you can't see Barry at all because they're invisible beneath the surface of the water. But the only time they do appear is through an abstract jump scare. It's difficult to see the monster. The camera has a filter applied to it that creates a sense of murky water. And if we remove this murky water filter, we can also get a good look at the monster. It has four eyes and appears to be a fish. But it actually has two legs and two arms. It's positioned like a fish, but it could also technically leave the water and walk on land. What I find most interesting is that the monster also has a second mouth hidden inside his torso. I'm not sure why this is there, but taking the camera inside shows it off. Now, this is not the only monster on the island that we can take a closer look at. Because there's this really like Slenderman ghost, and I'm only calling it that because the area it's in is just like Slender the 8 pages. So you come down to this ravine, and there's all these drawings scattered around this area. You need to collect 9 pages in total, and once you start collecting them, this monster or ghost-like entity basically comes out of nowhere and hunts you down. And it's a bit difficult to get a good look at this monster. But if we slow the game down, we can get a better look. So this monster is actually just like a human model, but it's textured with this high contrast black and white material. Sort of like a metallic chrome. Now this monster can normally pass through walls, so they are a ghost. But this is what it looks like when the player actually gets hit by them, and they get warped out of the area. They basically just touch the player, and they instantly vanish. Now the last threat we're going to look at, besides Charles, are the train cultists. So these are Warren's men, the man who owns the mining company. These dudes with shotguns are going to hunt you down. But when they're spawned in the game, they are actually randomly assigned both clothes and a mask. However, despite these giant masks, they do have faces. So if we take a peek behind the mask, this is what their face looks like. And all the cultists look exactly the same. So this one's a bit silly, but on the north side of the island, there's like this fishing shack, and this fishing shack is actually in the northwest position on the map. However, not far from this, we can find a giant rubber ducky in the ocean. Now the player cannot enter the ocean at all, so it cannot swim out to this However, just as a test, if we modify the game and warp the player on top of the duck, they'll actually just fall through the duck. And if you're wondering why I'm back in the train now, that's because anytime the player falls beneath the map in Choo Charles, it will instantly warp you back to your train. Speedrunners, take note.